going on, everybody? We're back up in Mondovi again today, and we are working on a dry air boom spreader today, working on putting on a Recon spread sense system. So before we can talk about the technology, we have to talk about the machine. So behind me here, we've got what's called a airflow machine or a dry airflow spreader. So the job of this machine is to spread dry products. So we're talking like DAP, urea, some sort of gritty fertilizer that's going to be dumped in the box, and we're going to spread on the field like a preseason, or even you can do it during middle of season. And this particular one has different sections. So you can see here we've got a fin. It's kind of tough to see, but you've got a delivery tube. So through a big fan, it rushes air through each individual tube. So the dry fertilizer is dumped out of the box off a belt through these tubes. It rounds the corner here and then hits this deflector. When it hits this deflector, it dumps the material out onto the ground. Some customers prefer this style over a traditional spinner box because the spinner box, you're spinning everything directly from the center of the machine, so you're a lot more susceptible to things like wind, and if you run into, well, mainly wind is what you have to get challenged with. If you got a windy day, you're more susceptible to not have an even spread pattern. Let's say your spread pattern is 90 feet, it could blow one way or another. With the air delivery style here, through the air booms, we're going to deliver it the entire length of the boom as direct as possible and drop it where it actually belongs. Depending on where you're at in the world and when you can spread, these machines can be a little bit better for precision application and for applicating when weather may not be favorable for a traditional spinner box. Now, what we're focusing in on today is the technology that's going to sense when one of these tubes is plugged. So this particular machine, this is not the one that we're doing the install on, but this machine, as it sits right now, there's no way to truly see if there's material coming out unless you turn your head back and physically look out of the cab to see if there's material flowing out of it. Even in good running conditions, it can be really hard to see dry fertilizer passing through this bar, depending on the color and the sunlight. So what we're installing is some sound, I call them sound pucks, but they're essentially like a stethoscope. So we're going to put a stethoscope on these fins, and what they're going to do is they're going to measure sound coming off of these units. So as long as those pucks or that stethoscope can hear sound banging on these fins, we know that we've got flow. When it's going to trigger a non-flow situation or a plugged tube, like if we get some wet debris in there and it gums up here and we can't pass fertilizer through, that stethoscope is not going to sense anything on the fin. And if it doesn't sense for X amount of seconds, it's going to alert the operator that we've got a plug on, in this case, fin 22, because we can walk this boom and we can see every individual fin is marked. So once we put the stethoscopes on, we can really see and hear where the plugs are at, and we're going to improve that accuracy, so because we're not going to be driving around if there's a plug or if there's a problem within our boom. So from the operator station, you can see it would be really tough to see every single individual row if you were having a plug or if you were having a problem, without actually getting out and looking and seeing if things are flowing or if you can see a blockage. There's really no good way on these machines to tell when they're plugged. So this system is going to help us determine when plugs are happening, where the plugs are happening, and makes it really easy for the operator to diagnose these problems, and makes it really fast for them to dive into it and get the machine unplugged and back up and running.
We're just going to do a voiceover here because the wind was way too rowdy to be able to hear anything in this shot, but we're working with Intelligent Ag, adding this system onto this dry boom. So you can see here where we have each individual stethoscope attached to each sectional fin with a strong adhesive. So we just slap that stethoscope right onto each deflector, And then the stethoscopes each have a hose that are hooked into them. The hose runs back to a section box. So within that section box, we can hook up to 4 stethoscopes per box. From there, we'll link all of the section box back together and we'll run them back up to the main control box. So each of these individual section boxes will be listening for sound on each of its 4 stethoscopes via the hose to see if something is plugged or see if things are running good. After the installation process, we link up to the main controller through the Recon Spread Sense app on an iPad. And then from there, we connect to the machine and we configure where each stethoscope is at in the line so that it shows up the far left side being number 1 and the far right side being our highest number. That way we can see where each stethoscope is in the line of the boom. Once the configuration is complete, we then go back through the entire system, tapping on each individual deflector with something hard like a wrench to make sure that each individual stethoscope is working and to make sure that they're all listed in the exact location that they're supposed to be on the iPad. Once we've thoroughly checked everything out, everything looks okay, we do the final touches on the display. So what they're going through and showing us are the different alarms that are going to go off in this system, such as a mass flow sensor. In this case, the one that he's showing us, we've got 4 sections that are grayed out. That indicates that one of the ECUs are offline. So 4 of the sections are gray and not responding to any data. So it will send out an audible alarm whenever there's a problem with the ECUs unplugging. The example that's being shown here is we've got multiple blockages occurring on our boom. So in a perfect world, all of our individual boom sections will be green. Whenever they turn red, like you see on the screen down below, red indicates that there is a plug, and there will also be an audible alarm that will go off of the iPad to let the operator know that there's an issue on the boom. After you unplug the blockage and go back and reset the system, it will convert from red back to green, and we'll know we'll be ready to run once again.
That's what that stethoscope install looks like. Pretty easy, straightforward. Not really hard to set up, but really unique tool for those guys. It is wintertime still up here in Wisconsin, so I don't have any footage of us running this in the field. We'll see if we can get some of that for you on the next one. Appreciate you tuning in. See you on the next one.